Hello, my dear student. Assalamu alaikum. Hope you all are quite okay and fine. Welcome you all to my today online class. Before going to start my today's lecture, first of all, I would like to introduce myself to all of you. I am Muhammad Ghulam Morshed, lecturer of biology, Milestone College, Uttara Dhaka. Today I am going to discuss about chapter 1, that is lesson on life. The two topics will be discussed here today. Number 1, the living world and its classification, and system of binomial nomenclature. The learning objectives. After completing this lesson, student can easily explain this classification of organisms. Student can also explain the concept of binomial nomenclature of organism and system of nomenclature. Now let's discuss about the living world. R.S. Whitaker and Margulis first introduced 5 kingdom classification of living world. They can divide the whole living world into 2 superkingdom, that is superkingdom 1 prokaryota and superkingdom 2, that is the eukaryota. Actually they can divide these 2 superkingdom based on the organization of the nucleus. In case of prokaryota, they don't have well organized nucleus, but in case of eukaryota they have the well organized nucleus. Superkingdom 1 has only one kingdom, that is kingdom 1 Monera, and superkingdom 2 have 4 kingdom, that is kingdom 1 Protista, kingdom 3 Fungi, kingdom 4 Plantae, and the kingdom 5, that is the Animalia. Now let's discuss about our first kingdom, that is the Monera, which belongs to the superkingdom Prokaryota. Look at the figure. This is the bacteria and this is the blue-green algae. All the bacteria and blue-green algae is actually belongs to the kingdom Monera. This is the number 1 kingdom. Now let's discuss about some of the important characteristic features of Monera. First, they are usually mostly unicellular, filamentous or colonial. Though chromatin materials is present, there is no nuclear material membranes or nucleolus is there. Cell. Kingdoms Monera have some other important characteristic features like no plastid, mitochondria and endoplasmic reticulums are there, but ribosome is present. The cell divides through a process of binary fission. The chief mode of nutrition of absorption, though some of them produce food through photosynthesis. Now the example, bacteria and blue-green algae. Now the superkingdom 2 eukaryota, the amoeba and diatom unicellular algae. These 2 organisms is actually belongs to the kingdom 2, that is the Protista. Now let's discuss about some of the important characteristic features of kingdom 2 Protista. They're unicellular or multicellular, individual or colonial or filamentous. The nucleus in their cells are actually well organized. Their cells contain nuclear materials covered by nuclear membrane. Now some other important characteristic features of the Protista are all types of cell organelles are actually present because they are eukaryotic cell. Their mode of nutrition and are absorption, ingestion of photosynthesis accomplished by their sexual reproduction by the process of mitosis and conjugation. Now the examples, amoeba and diatoms, unicellular algae. Now our third kingdom, that is the fungi. Now let's see the penicillium. This is the fungi, and now I am discussing about some of the important characteristic features of the kingdom fungi. Most of them are terrestrial, saprophytic or parasite. Saprophytic means they are getting their nutrition from the dead bodies, and their body is actually constituted of a single cell or mycelium. The nucleus is well organized, and their cell wall is actually composed of chitin, which is made up of complex carbohydrate. Their mode of nutrition is absorption. They reproduce by haploid spore, and their cells divides through mitotic cell division. Example, penicillium and mushrooms. Now the kingdom 4, the plenty, jackfruit tree. This is the angiosperm. Let's discuss about some of the important characteristic features of the kingdom 4. That is the plenty. Characteristic features, they are photosynthetic and eukaryotic. Photosynthetic means they can prepare their own food or carbohydrate food by the process of photosynthesis, and advanced tissue systems are actually found in them. The developed embryos and diploid stage starts from it. Kingdom 4, that is plenty, has some other important characteristic features, like they are mostly terrestrial and but also some aquatic species in this kingdom. Their sexual reproduction is anisogamous. Anisogamous is a new terminology. When both male and female gametes are morphologically dissimilar, these types of sexual reproduction is actually called the anisogamous. They are archegonate plants with female reproductive organ and flowering plants. Now, jackfruit tree, angiosperm. Division of the plenty are actually shown in the chart below. Plenty are again divided into 4 types: moss, fern, angiosperm, gymnosperm, and angiosperm. Now let's discuss about our last kingdom, that is kingdom 5, Animalia. Now let's discuss Animalia. Now let's discuss about some of the important characteristic features of the kingdom Animalia. They are actually eukaryotic and multicellular animals. Their cells do not have non-living cell wall, plastid, or vacuoles in them. But sometimes vacuoles are present in animal cell. But when it presents, their size is very minute. They are heterotrophs because they cannot produce their own food, and they are completely, directly or indirectly depends on plants for their food. That's why they are called heterotrophs. Now, other important characteristic features of the kingdom Animalia: they have advanced and complex tissue systems. Sexual reproduction is their usual way of reproduction. Most of the animals belongs to the Animalia are actually reproduced by sexual reproduction. In case of sexual reproduction, both types of male and female gametes is actually produced from male and female body respectively. And when this male and female gamete are united to form zygote, and these zygotes undergoes repeated mitosis division to produce embryo, and the embryonic layers are actually developed at the time of their embryonic development. Actually, different types of embryonic layer is actually found in case of the higher animals like chordate. Now the example, Royal Bengal tiger. Thomas Calvin Smith from Oxford University divided the kingdom Protista of the living world into 2 groups, Protist and Chromista, and renamed the kingdom Monera as kingdom of the bacteria in 2004. In this way, he grouped the living world into 6 kingdoms. System of binomial nomenclature. The binomial nomenclature, first of all, you have to know about what is binomial nomenclature. The system of scientific naming of an organism is actually termed as binomial nomenclature. The scientific name of an organism has 2 parts. The first parts of the name denote the genus to which the species belongs. The second part identifies the species within the genus. Now, system of binomial nomenclature, the scientific name of the potato is Solanum tuberosum. For example, here the word Solanum and the tuberosum denote the genus and species name of the potato respectively. Now, let's discuss about some of the rules of binomial nomenclature. Scientists, during the naming of organisms or animals, scientists have to follow strictly the rules of the binomial nomenclature. The rules of the binomial nomenclature will be discussed here today, one by one. The language of the scientific name of an organism would be Latin. Every scientific name should have 2 parts, and the genus names always comes first, followed by the species name. And the scientific name of any organism should have to be unique, because a same legitimate name cannot be used for naming 2 distinct organisms. The first alphabet of the first name would be in capital letter with remaining alphabet in small letter, and the second part of the name totally would be with the small letter. For example, lion, Panthera leo. At the time of printing of scientific name, it should be written in italic. Rice Oraja Setaba, for example, when a scientific name is handwritten, its two parts should be separately underlined. For example, Katla Katla. If the scientific name of an organism is named by several scientists, the earliest legitimate name given by the first scientist will be accepted in accordance with the rules of the priority. The scientist who gives the scientific name of an organism can have the name cited and abbreviated from at the end of the binomial names along with the year of the naming. For example, Homo sapiens, which is given by the Carolus Linnaeus 1758. Thank you for your patient sharing. I think today's lecture was very much effective lecture for all of us. I am humbly requesting you all to watch my video lecture for several times so that you can understand each and every topic that have already discussed here today. If you have any queries regarding my today's lecture, feel free to ask me, or you can also ask your respective subject teacher. Thank you all. Khuda Hafiz.